It is awesome, very fidgety action right here with all those 4 deployment options. As far as the blade, this guy is rock solid. Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. My favorite, the reverse flick. Boom, just like that. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel. Today we're going to be reviewing the Sencut Sachse, and this one is a very sexy knife. Bruh. All right, lame jokes aside, I am super excited to share with you guys everything about this knife, all the feedback, everything I've been able to gather over the last couple of weeks. This is a very fidgety EDC, to say the least. It has 4 different deployment options. You got the button, of course. It is a button lock after all. You got the flipper, yeah, right there, right? Nice flipper action. You got the thumb deployment, right? So that's always nice to have. Last but not least, my favorite, the reverse flick. Boom. Just like that. Take a look at that. Bam, 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 bam. All right, one last time. Bam. Fair measure. There it is, guys. So let's get started here, getting a quick measurement on this guy. Let's see what we got here. Total overall length coming in at around, I want to say, yeah, it's going to be just under 8 inches, right? It's going to be like 7 7/8 of an inch, right? Total length. The blade is going to be around, I want to say, 3.5. The actual cutting edge being around 3 1/4, right? The handle is going to be around 4 1/4, right? That gives you an idea right there as far as measurement goes. Since we're here, let's do a quick hardware check. By the way, guys, my tools are linked down below in the description. They're part of the Strabito tool set. Has all the drill bits you may need, screwdrivers, all that good stuff. Links down below. Those do help out the channel at no extra cost to you. My guess is very similar to the Crawley, right? Maybe cheating here a little bit. I know for a fact the Crawley had T6 on the pocket clip and then T8 everywhere else, right? So that's my theory, right? With that being said, here we go. T6 on the pocket clip, yeah, that is confirmed. And then T8, yeah, T8 on the body screws, including the pivot, right? Including the pivot. This one has a pivot screw on both sides, something to keep in mind as well. You may need 2 screwdrivers to tighten or loosen this guy here with the pivot on both ends. And I like that they went the extra mile to make the body screws also a T8, right? Other companies, manufacturers, they cut some corners, they make the body screws T6, but this one is pretty much T8 all the way around except the pocket clip. Speaking of the pocket clip, this guy is very deep carry, no doubt about that. Very deep carry pocket clip, very similar to the Crawley right there. If anything, it's pretty much the same exact pocket clip, right? Copy paste parts from their parts bin, but hey, it gets the job done, right? All right, so very recessed pocket clip screws right there, so you can see from this profile shot right here, from this angle. I'll give you an example of what is not a recessed screw, right? And that is the Reich P801. I also did a review on this guy on the channel not that long ago if you want to check that out. But yeah, one of the things that I was picking on this guy is that the screws, they certainly stick out quite a bit on this guy, right? Check out the difference, right? You can barely see the ones in the Sachse, but they are the ones on the Reich P801. They definitely stand out quite a bit. All right, that being said, let's get a quick blade stock thickness on this guy. All right, 0.11 inches, just like the Crawley on the thickest part of the blade. And then on the very tip, I want to say, I know this guy is very pointy here. Very tip is going to be 0.02 inches, right? That kind of gives you an idea right there. As far as the blade, this guy is rock solid. Yeah, this is a 10 out of 10. No questions about that. Very solid lockup. It is a button lock, so a lot of people always, you know, question the strength of a button lock, but this one is very well made. Of course, I mean, you could probably put it to a much harder test than just testing it against your palm, but again, I'm not trying to, you know, to go that far just to prove a point. So for what it is, right, that lockup right there, right, let me get a quick close-up, right? So there it is. When you push the button, it lets the blade free. By the way, this blade is on washers, so that's why the action is so solid and reliable on this guy. And again, you know, the blade is going to open up like this, and then as soon as it hits, boom, right there, right, it's going to lock in place, right? In order to release, have to push the button right there, and then let go of the blade right back. So very nice. Let's get a quick weight on this guy here, shall we, right? So for comparison purposes, right, the brother here, the sibling from Sencut, the Crawley, came in at 3.3, right? So 3.3 ounces on that guy. The Pyrite, which is another button lock, again, very fidgety as well, 3.5, even though, well, 3.6, even though this guy is an all metal design here. But the Sachse, right, my guess is going to be around 3.5. All right, also 3.6, right, look at that, 3.6, just like the Pyrite. Now the Pyrite is all metal design, right, so 3.6, and one last time for fair measure there, 3.6 ounces on the Sachse as well. This thing, just like I said with the Crawley review, this thing is pretty much the same as the Crawley, right? It is awesome, very fidgety action right here with all those 4 deployment options I went over earlier. So what do we got going on here for this guy? We have a satin finish blade right there. This is a drop point blade right there. This one is rocking a 9CR18 MOV steel. A very common budget steel for this price range. By the way, this guy comes in around $45 to $50, right? Same range as the Sencut Crawley. Pretty much everything that I said about the Crawley on the Crawley review is pretty much what I'm going to end up saying for the Sachse during this review, because these two, not only are they siblings from the same manufacturer for the same brand, but as far as the fidgetability, there's your word for the day, as far as the fidgetability, they both go a long way, and they're so satisfying to deploy, they're so satisfying to EDC. There was even a time where I had this in my pocket and I had to force myself to switch over to a different knife just because of how solid, how comfortable, how satisfied I was daily carrying this knife for almost weeks at a time, right? I just kind of want to put that into perspective. And I'm trying to think of what else I wouldn't necessarily like about this guy. There's so much that this guy has going for it that it just checks a box for me, right? I love the fidgetability, like I mentioned earlier, right? For me, an EDC knife could also be a knife that, you know, you use obviously for daily cutting tasks, but, you know, has that fidgety factor to it. You could just sit there and just kind of play around with it a little bit in a safe way, of course, and it kind of satisfies that fidgetability itch that most of us have. So this is the Civivi button lock, right? Civivi, Sencut, sister brands, all under the We Knife umbrella. All right, what they did with the button lock, and you probably remember that from the button lock review, check it out if you haven't already, by the way, is that the only deployment option on this guy is the button, right? So button to open, button to close, and that was about it, right? Now they did make a newer version of this guy, which also has a flipper, so then you will have flipper and button deployment. But this guy, you have it all, right? You have the button, you have the flipper, and both thumb stud and reverse flick deployment. So you really can't go wrong with this guy. It just has so much going for it, right? You would also compare this guy to, let's say, the Pyrite. It's so close to the Pyrite. This is probably going to be a different video as far as my top fidgety knives of all times, and all of these button locks are definitely going to be on that video. Spoiler alert. But yeah, something that it has over the Pyrite is it has the flipper, right? I really wish my Pyrite had a flipper here. That would just completely make the Pyrite perfect for me if it had a flipper as well as a button and thumb and reverse flick deployment. And this guy has all 4 of them. So, I mean, that's something to keep in mind if you're really looking to get the best bang for your buck, right? If you're looking to get the most fidgetability out of the $50 or so you're going to be spending on this guy, this is it right here. Crawley or Sachse from Sencut, right? Can't go wrong with these guys. I honestly can't recommend them enough, if I'm being honest. That being said, guys, if you made it this far into the video, you guys are the real MVPs. Don't forget to like and subscribe. By the way, by the time you're watching this video, it's very possible that the review for the Spyderco Para Military 2 will be out. So if that's the case, I'll put a card right here for you guys to check it out. I love my PM2. It's such an awesome EDC. So if you want to check out that review next, go for it. Thank you guys for all your support. I love y'all. Take care. Peace.